I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're uncovering powerful strategies for sustainable development with a wonderful book, a powerful book. It is called Local Content Unveiled, and it is written by a terrific author. His name is Rotimi Olagbaye. As a global thought leader in the energy sector, this author sheds light on how developing nations can harness their resources to stimulate local economies, create jobs, and drive sustainable growth. If you're interested in transforming communities and maximizing economic potential, this is a book and an interview you won't want to miss. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his powerful book. The links are beneath this interview. Rotimi, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Yes, I want to repeat again. I am very excited to be here. And then, Logan, I must say your team, they're wonderful, fantastic. They're very patient and professionally passionate about what they do. In fact, when the link was sent to me, I sent it to so many other people. I said, watch out, I'm going to be on Logan Crawford Spotlight. I didn't know it's not something they were going to have access to until it is released. So I'm really very excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for that wonderful feedback. And thanks so much for this terrific book. I think it's so empowering. Who do you envision this book helping, and how do you think it can help in building communities and societies with the knowledge you share in the pages of this book?
Can I start this with a small story?
Sure.
About two presidents, just 2 minutes. The president of Brazil and the Nigerian president. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine two presidents meeting each other? And the Nigerian president said, telling the other president that you are not my friend. Meanwhile, you left Nigeria to Brazil only to go and meet your friend and said, it's not your friend. So, and then the Brazilian president was so taken aback, he didn't understand. So, and then the president of Nigeria, and then to make it more complicated, he said, look at where you are. He was pointing to the roof. And then he pointing down and said, see where I am. So, and then he now said, yeah, when the president of Brazil was able to, recover, I now said, Your Excellency, I still don't understand what you mean. Mm-hmm. He said, we are in this oil and gas business together. Yeah. And see, you have developed so much, and I'm still here. Mm-hmm. So if you are my friend, will you not tell me the secrets? So the president now laughed loudly and said, oh, okay, that's what you mean. And I said, it's local content. Mm. So that is how he got the word local content. And with that day, before he left Brazil, he phoned the GMD, that's the Group Managing Director of NNPC, that you must set up a local content department before I come. Mm. That's how I started. So the book, the local content was a success story. Mm. And then I was one of the pioneers that went to set up the board when the bill was eventually passed into act in 2010. So in Yenagoa. So we have a board. So the success story was one of my defining moments in writing about this. And then I now look, Logan, I'm writing about resources. Mm-hmm. Resources generally, even though I use oil and gas as my example for people to be able to see. The book is about us looking inward, developing our talents, our resources, our skill from local to global. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at it, you see that there's no project anywhere that all these stakeholders are not involved. A project is either in a country, in a nation, and of course you have government that is involved. You have policymakers. Mm-hmm. You have corporations that maybe they will implement the project. You have people that are interested in investing in the project. So you can see it's all encompassing. And it's, of course, it's cited in a community where you have students, you have individuals, they don't know much about what is this local content. And say, oh, I'm an individual, I'm not a student, I'm not a policymaker, I'm not this. So, but he said there's a lesson for me. So what's the lesson? So when he gets to understand, he or she gets to understand that we are to look inward to develop our resources, our talents, and all that, we benefit. So I wrote about natural resources because Africa is 1.5 billion people out of 8 billion. And 30% of the natural resources is in Africa. Have you seen where a rich man goes to a poor man's place? It's always the case, is reversed. It's the poor man that goes to the rich man's place because of what he can get. You know, so not a part of passion for writing the book is that I'm not happy that the label developing countries that have all these resources are being a poor country. For example, France, as a nation, has like 23 colonies in Africa. And at the end of the day, you take all the resources away. And you now label the same country as being poor. No, that's not right. So what I'm trying to let the society, the nations, and all the stakeholders know is that there should be a collaborative approach. The resources is here. You are the expert. You can turn it to anything. Logan, let me give a typical example of one.
Sure.
Like chocolate. Over 70 million Americans eat chocolate every day. The biggest factory is in Pennsylvania. The raw materials, in fact, Ivory Coast produce 30% of chocolate beans in the world. So what I mean is the government of Ivory Coast, if they can look inward, we have these resources here. The experts that are coming, why don't we collaborate and let them set up some of the industries here so that the people can be gainfully employed and there will not be any need for them to be running to other countries of the world.
Exactly.
And then there will be even development and all that. So that's in a nutshell what the book is all about. And it's all encompassing.
Yeah. It's a very empowering message. The countries that are rich in resources should be rich. They have the resources. They shouldn't be exploited by powerful or industrialized nations that are taking the resources out, employing people elsewhere, and basically, stripping the great resources of the poorer nation. So your book actually puts things in perspective that there should be a collaboration, there should be a partnership, and that the poorer nations should share in the wealth and they should share in the employment opportunities as well. So the need for migration isn't even needed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I need to add again that if those industries are cited in those developing nations, it will be cheaper to actually run it. I know they always have the issue of power. Now, because they don't have power. But you can set up power station there.
Exactly.
And then the people, once they are gainfully employed, they'll be able to pay for this power.
Exactly.
So, and then, US, I'm in the US. I schooled here. And this, the concept of local content is not a far distance ideal. It's with us every day. Like even at home. That's what I'm talking about. It's about resources. There are times when you just realize that you don't have much at home. But when you look everywhere, you open your fridge, you'll be surprised that you can come out with food. So it's for us to look inward. When we look inward, we see, for example, in Nigeria, in the 80s and 70s, we watch more of foreign movies, especially American movies, and the music. But within the last 2 decades now, or say 10 years. Nigerian movies are everywhere. They may not be as super as that of Hollywood, but they have taken a giant step in the right direction. They've been able to employ a lot of people. The same thing in music. So what happened? What changed? What changed is that Nigerians have been able to look inward. Look at, oh, I can do this. This is what I can do. This is what I cannot do. What you cannot do, you look for a way of improving on it. And I mean, a way of learning how to do it, or what you can do, you can improve on it. Because everything, we are all looking for desire. We desire many things. And when we don't have it, we look for a way of getting it, looking for power to get it. So that's it. That's, in a nutshell, what the book is all about.
It's a wonderful, empowering message. I wish our presidential candidates were talking more about big picture ideas than some of the stuff we hear on the national and world stage, because this is such an empowering message. You know, if you want to change communities, if you want to empower communities, if you want to enrich communities, the content of your book, Local Content Unveiled, is really a game changer. It really, has it been put to action anywhere, these principles?
Yes, that's why I said it's a success story. In Nigeria, after the story of the 2 presidents, and then we started the department, the local content department. From there, it became a division, and then eventually it became an act, establishing a local content board.
Right.
And then within that 5 years, we set up the board, like the state where the board was set up. As at the time of creation, there was no filling station. But today, the board, the local content board, has a 17-story building.
Wonderful.
That's a success story. And a lot of people have been employed, because the local content is talking about when you come to set up an industry, you talk about you need to empower the local. You need to, in terms of capacity building, in terms of employment, in terms of developing their businesses. Because when you do that, you have less stress. Because you want to engage them, you want them to be engaged in this, get them involved, let them participate actively, because it's their God-given resources.
Exactly.
You know, so that's so it's a success story, because hundreds of thousands of people have been trained, have been employed.
Exactly.
And then we have local companies that have developed, you know, as a result of people participating, looking at the local content.
Exactly. You know, once you have that one anchor business come in, you're going to build a community around it. People are going to have more money. They're going to have better food. They're going to have better education. They're going to have better lives.
Exactly.
This is absolutely a wonderful plan, and the blueprint for types of restructuring communities and sharing in the resources is all unveiled in this wonderful book. It's called Local Content Unveiled. As a global and thought leader in the energy sector, the author sheds light on how developing nations can harness their own resources to stimulate local economies, create jobs, and drive sustainable growth. Such an important book, highly recommended. Rotimi, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, sir. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.